Well, hey there, YouTubes. So, I was never raped or molested or in any way sexually harmed by anyone until I was 21. And, well, that experience that I had when I was 21 of being raped by a woman was just that, by a woman. And yet, before I was 21, I knew I was gay. And even after I turned 21, I still know I'm gay. So that sexual trauma did not directly affect my sexual orientation in the least bit. If anything, it simply showed that that person who did that to me was a monster. It didn't say anything about me, and it didn't affect me like that. Some individuals want to draw direct corollary lines between early childhood experiences and later sexual orientation, which is not the case. The lines are not direct. The thing is that early childhood experiences do shape us as adults, but not as directly as a lot of people would think. Our genetics is like a wall of light switches, and there are things that can turn them on and turn them off, be they psychological, like an individual growing up in a very harmful environment where their needs are not met, their mental, emotional, let alone their physical needs are not met, can turn on and turn off certain light switches. And by those switches being turned on or turned off, that will dramatically affect somebody in later life. But the thing is, for a light switch to be flipped on or flipped off, it has to be there first. So, what we currently know now about sexual orientation is that it's a series of light switches. There are multiple light switches that have to be there in order for that sexual orientation to express itself, be it hetero or homo, or bi, or somewhere in between. An early childhood experience might flip on or flip off some of those light switches. But then again, any experience could potentially flip on or flip off a light switch. Just saying, that's basically how our genetics works. And from my understanding of early childhood experiences shaping people, it's more so a matter of a traumatic childhood experience might make it harder for somebody to form healthy relationships with members of the opposite sex or the same sex. Or it might make it harder for that individual to trust members of the opposite sex or members of the same sex. And yeah, I hate being in the binary when it comes to sexes, but that's the easiest way to break it down. And I'm trying to make this more of a baseline video, not for my more astute gender knowledgeable subscribers. As I mentioned, I was never harmed sexually by anyone up until the age of 21. I mean, other than a little bit of verbal sexual harassment from my undiagnosed autistic sibling when I was a teenager. I'm gay because my light switches happen to be on my wall and happen to have gotten flipped in the right order. When I was a little kid, 6, 7 years old, I can remember watching Buffy. It wasn't even Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It was Xena Warrior Princess. And whenever I would see Xena and Gabrielle interact in that very intimate way, holding each other, kissing each other, just sharing that smile that only lovers do, to me there was something innately right about that. There was something beautiful about that I wanted that in my life. And then, as a preteen, when the character of Bianca on All My Children was a soap opera that was on until, 2 or 3 years ago. When Bianca came out of the closet, I automatically started watching that way more often. And I honestly think that's where my mother probably got the clue that I was queer. That was a sidebar. But there was something that I could really identify with in the character of Bianca, even if I didn't know what it was yet. And again, the idea of being really close with another woman or another girl, something just seems so right about that to me. And then by the time I was in middle teenage years or so, and I was watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer and seeing Willow and Tara on television, again, those feelings of there's something so right about that just filled me. And honestly, that show helped keep me alive during some very dark days. Some very dark days when my clinical depression was getting worse, and because a lot of it was, oh yeah, I have all these feelings inside, people are telling me that they're wrong because I lived in a predominantly heterosexual society, yet there's still something that feels so right about it. And well, a couple of years later I came out of the closet, and here I am today, Raven Blaze. But, you know, going on, and when I was 21 I got date raped by a woman, it didn't change my sexual orientation. I'm still gay. I'm still as gay the day after. I was still as gay the day after as I was the day before. My sexual orientation never wavered. So, while sexual trauma in life, in general, be it as a child or be it as an adult, might cause a person not to trust members of the opposite or the same sex, it does not create a direct corollary link between traumatic event and sexual orientation. And to wrap this up, again, I have a little fan out there, Raven bi-aze. It will be the first link below. Please, please, positively troll this girl. She says that she went through some very traumatic times as a child, and that recently she lost one of her parents. So please, 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 positively troll this person, send this individual words of love and support, and peace out.